This is the Slow Wardrobe. Come and have a look. Hello, welcome to episode 130 of the Slow Wardrobe podcast. My name is Linda. In this episode, an update on my knitting and crochet antics, part 2 of my recent Scottish adventure, and then in Layercake, introducing the Tulip dress in wool, currently on pre-order, alongside a whole bunch of wool trousers that are not on pre-order, but the ready-to-ship ones are discounted. So a big episode to get through. Let's get stuck in straight away. So my knitting and crochet antics. First of all, I'm showing a couple of finished projects that I already showed you in previous episodes, but because there are a bunch of new followers of this podcast, if you are interested to see more of the jumper that I'm wearing, or the jumper that is on the mannequin here, or the last West Knits mystery knit along, or my version of it, then watch the previous 2 or 3 episodes and they will all pass by in the first knitting and crochet section. Now for this particular episode, I can keep it relatively short. I already told you in the last episode that I had started a bit of a sock knitting kit kick because I have decided to knit socks for the men that I am surrounded by at Christmas time, which are my husband, my 2 sons, my son-in-law and my brother. So that's 5 pairs of socks in time for Christmas, and I am pleased to report that I have finished the first 2 pairs. I already showed you these in progress a couple of weeks ago, but they're done now. So first pair in a Snuggly Stars yarn called Stormbreaker, if I remember correctly. A beautiful combination of like a taupey grey, proper taupe, a dark brown, a bit of black and teal. Very stormy indeed. This is a first pair for one of my sons, and I don't know whether it's visible, but you should be able to see that there's hardly any cuff at the top. I have done the tubular cast on and only knitted like 3 or 4 rows in a 1x1 rib, and then the rest is just all stocking stitch. I find that especially with these home knitted socks, you don't really need much of a cuff, and the men in my family tend to put socks on and then push them down like this, wear them crumpled up rather than all the way up on their legs. So that crumpling effect, I think, looks much better if you don't have much of a cuff on the sock. So that's why this one is looking like this. Same goes for the second pair, which is the socks for my husband. I actually got him to choose this colorway because I had a feeling that he might prefer it, but I wasn't 100% sure. So he's actually, well, he sees me working on my knitting anyway, of course, so he knows that he's going to get these. Same with the virtually no cuff at the top. And then what I did is picked out one of the colors in this kind of faux Fair Isle striping yarn, which is a dark grey, and had some dark grey sock yarn that I used for the heels because I'm not keen what exactly happens with these self-patterning yarns around the heel, and so I wanted to not interrupt the pattern of the stripes going down the foot. So with this first pair, I've done a proper heel flap and decreases along the sides, the very traditional Dutch heel, I think it might be called. Now this is just a heel with short rows, just like the way you see on commercial socks. And the way I've knitted it in terms of wrapping stitches to avoid holes, I've done the German turn, the German short row technique in order to create the diagonal lines. Just look it up on YouTube. There are loads of videos showing the German short rows. So that's what I've done with these particular heels. This is the other sock, just to show you that I have done both. And now I'm on to, oh, I've got one more finished little project on crochet. I'll leave that. I'll stick with the socks and the knitting for now, and then move on to my little crochet bits. So sock pair number 3, where I have just finished turning a heel, is another self-patterning sock yarn. I'll put the names of the sock yarns down below. I haven't brought any of the ball bands. So I have just finished, like I said, the heel turn on this first one. Actually, I might know this. These sock yarns, I think they're from West Yorkshire Spinners. I remember calling them West Yorkshire Knitters last episode. So West Yorkshire Spinners. Names are coming back to me. Something with holly, and the previous one was with something with like peacock, no, not peacock, woodpecker, green woodpecker, something like that. Anyway, stop guessing. I've already put the names down below in the editing. So with this sock, I'm doing the same thing again in terms of the virtually no cuff, and I had this color of yarn left over from my jumper, which is why all of a sudden I remembered that it was West Yorkshire Spinners, because having used this yarn in the jumper, I was then comparing it to the colors of this Holly Jolly, I think it is. See, I can't stop myself from guessing. Sorry about that. So a Christmas yarn, and notice that actually it is virtually the same red. So these socks are going to have these red turned in the same, you know, diagonal short row heels with the same German short row technique onto the foot for this one now. So unlike the ones that I did for my husband, where I just kept going with the sock yarn that I was using for the toes, and I did not change back to this grey, I think I am going to go back to the red for this pair of socks. So give them a red toe rather than sticking with this pattern. No particular strong reason, I just want to see how it looks differently, but it also depends a little bit on where I am in my striping when I achieve the right length, because I like the idea of sticking with the whole stripes rather than changing over in the middle of a stripe, and that's what I've managed to do here. I have a red stripe in that same soft raspberry red color, and at the end of the red stripe I put in my raspberry heel, and now I'm continuing the foot with the next color, which is that little bit of faux ferrule that I get here. So depending on where I finish when I get to the toe, I'm either going to keep going in this, or if I happen to be at the end of a color, then I might grab this and put a red toe in. I'll show you next time, because by next episode they'll definitely be finished, because of course that's 2 weeks from now. So and we're thundering towards the end of November already. My little project bags are all from Trava and Wool. Susanna does these beautiful hand-dyed recovered fabrics. They're all charity shop finds, the fabrics that she then re-dyes in natural dyes, and she also does these beautiful natural dyed yarns that she sells in bundles for embroidery. Trava and Wool, I very highly recommend her work. Unbelievably creative lady and beautiful work. So I have multiple of her bags. She must be thinking I'm mad because I keep buying more of them. Whenever I see a very interesting one, oh, I jump on it, or I see one of her posts coming by on Instagram and I'll buy another one. So my only weakness, as the postmistress in Lark Rise to Candleford used to say. So that's my first work in progress. Second one, in my newest bag, I literally just bought this bag from Susanna, Trava and Wool. So second sock, cast on yesterday evening. I was only going to wind the ball, but then I couldn't help myself and I had to start knitting. I was so curious to see what it was going to look like. This is from Rosie's Moments, this yarn, and I will put a photograph of the way the hank was looking, as well as a photograph of showing the hank on the Swift that I was using to hand wind the ball, because it is a little bit difficult to see what this looked like. So if you imagine that about a quarter of the hank was this little rainbow, goodness me, my words are not really coming to me today, or maybe I'm just dementing, that's also possible. A little quarter of the hank, a quarter of each round of yarn in the hank is in this mini rainbow that shows the color sequence red, green, blue and yellow. So it's not really a rainbow, it's more like primary colors plus green, and showing you that when knitted up, you can see that approximately 1 in every 4 rows ends up having the colors in, and the rest is the gray that is in the rest of the hank. So that shows you that with a standard hank length of yarn, which is about 1.5 meters in circumference, you can knit 4 rounds of your sock, of a standard sock size. So that means that if you see multicolored yarns and that is knitted in or dyed in sections of the hank, you'll be able to work out in your head how a hank that looks like that, when it's a hank, ends up knitting up. I hope that that makes sense. So a quarter of the hank is approximately 1 round of knitting. So, and that's on 2¼ millimeter needles. So pair number 3, it's a 75%, I think, merino, 25% or 20% nylon and 5% stellina. This is a glittery sock, and these socks are going to be for my brother, which is also why they have a little bit of a cuff on them. They're still not a massive cuff, but a bit of a cuff. I think it's 20 rounds I did of cuff, and then I'll have about 80 rounds or so for the leg, and then I'll be into the heel. I just use my own kind of formula and kind of look at what I think is a nice length when I get to the heel part, etc., and then measure the foot length along my own feet, my husband's feet, to make sure that I end up with the right foot length for the shoe size of the people that I'm knitting for. And what I do is keep a note, so that if, for example, I have a cuff of 20 rounds, I will not remember that, and to not have to count every time when I do something new, I will write down, I'll keep a note in my phone saying 20 rounds of on here, then 80 rounds of leg, etc. So I can then just repeat that for the second sock. So those are going to be the sock for my brother, and then I have 1 pair of socks left for what's probably the most traditional dresser of the 5 people that I'm knitting for. That is my future son-in-law. He's not my son-in-law, but I call him my son-in-law. He's my daughter's long-term partner. And he is another one of little Susanna's bags. I mean, look at this, little flowers all over. I adore it. And then really interesting fabric inside as well. Look at that. Again, hand dyed and a handwritten note. I love these bags, absolutely adore them. So I have more knitting project bags than you want to know. There's a whole box full of them, and I use less and less of them because I am replacing one after the other with Susanna's bags. Okay, so guilty admissions over. This is a yarn by Schackenmeier. It's a Regia yarn, 4-ply yarn, again self-striping. In what color is this? Color number 06029, and it is a combination of a kind of stony beige color, gray beige, grayish color, then going to a light blue, then a medium blue, but all kind of dusty blues, and then a little bit of a slightly reddish medium brown. I'll take this band off and show that to you. So that is color 06029 of Regia 4-ply. So that's going to be sock pair number 5, which I haven't started yet, but probably will do this weekend. I found this is something new, that I really enjoy having one more than one pair of socks on the go. I think it's especially because I'm very driven to ensure that I finish them as soon as possible. I used to be a very, very monogamous knitter, only ever one project on the needles, pushing myself to finish that until I was on to the next, and not having multiple projects next to each other. But in case of this whole sock extravaganza, which is going to run for me for the next 2 weeks still or so before I finish all of them, maybe that's a good target to set myself, that by the next episode I will have all 5 pairs done. Fingers crossed I'm going to make that. However, there is a chance that other projects will start creeping in. I think I already mentioned it last time. I found a little bag with some shapes, like hearts and little stars and whatever, that I knitted on small needles, probably 2 millimeters or less, in my own linen yarn. I already showed you a bundle of the multicolored 150 gram little set that has 6 different colors in it. This one, the multi-gradient set, 150 grams, 6 colors, 25 grams each. And I took one of these sets home to knit some more little shapes. And I don't know yet whether they're going to be Christmas ornaments or little bag charms or maybe key fobs, or I don't know yet what I'm going to do with it, but I'm super motivated to start knitting those. I think I've got things like a striped heart, stuff like that. So very keen to get back to those, and it would not surprise me at all if once I'm knitting those, I'm thinking, oh, what about crocheting them and getting to crocheting them as well? I don't know yet, but that is kind of brewing on the horizon as something to get into in the run-up to the darkest days of the year and Christmas time. And I think Christmas time is going to arrive relatively early in my household, because we are going to celebrate Christmas in the Netherlands with my family there. My mum, my brother and his wife, 2 of my kids have recently moved to the Netherlands already. One of my sons, the one that gets these socks, is living in Delft and studying in Leiden, doing his master's degree in archaeology in Leiden. The other one is studying in Edinburgh. We just saw him, and you're going to see a little bit of him in the Scottish Adventure part 2 in a minute, because I have got a little bit of footage of him casting in the River Tweed and showing you a little bit of scenery around where we were standing at the moment. So you will see a bit of him. He's going to get these socks, the ones that I showed you here, this colorway. And so he's living in Edinburgh, but daughter and future son-in-law have just in the last 2 weeks moved to the Netherlands with our cat, our 12-year-old Siberian forest cat. I'll show a picture of him here because he is just a character. They've just moved to Holland. He's actually sitting in the fireplace that is in what used to be my parents' living room. So that's where my daughter and her partner are staying at the moment while they're looking for a permanent place to live. So that is actually in the same building that my brother owns, where he lives with his wife, and where we will be having a English family Christmas. So we'll be doing lots of preparation and try and bring an English Christmas to Netherlands this year. They will take care of the tree, but we'll take care of a lot of other stuff. So very excited for that. But it means that we're not in our own home for Christmas. And I don't think, as long as we've been in that house, I don't think we've ever been away for Christmas. And we've been there for 22 years. So I can't bear not to have a very Christmassy December in that building. We actually left the Christmas lights that we had on the outside of the house on the house all year. So throughout the summer, we changed the timer settings, but throughout the summer at like 10 o'clock at night, our outside Christmas lights would come on for 7 or 8 hours. And as the evenings started to creep in earlier, we've just changed the settings. So now when I get home after working at the studio, walk home, and by whatever 6 o'clock, the outside Christmas lights are already on, fairy lights, and I have to have a Christmassy December. I like it so much, and so does my husband, luckily. So I reckon that by the 1st of December I will have to decorate the house, and it'll be maybe even next weekend already, because of course we'll be creeping closer to December, and it's not quite the 1st of December, but I don't think I'll wait until the next weekend, which I think is on like 7th and 8th of December. Much too late. I have to have it much sooner than that. So it'll probably be that last weekend of November that I'll be decorating the house. So of course we'll be back for New Year's Eve as well, is the case. Well, we've got a whole week in Holland around Christmas, but on the 29th we'll be traveling back home and then having New Year's Eve in our own house. So complete digress, not planning on this at all. Christmas decorations, oh yes, because of my little shapes. And that leaves me with just a tiny little bit of crochet to talk about. I showed you this little scarf a number of times already, and then I wanted to cover the edge with fabric and then decided not to. Was wearing it by itself. Goodness me, I still have the ends not woven in of this one, and then wearing it by itself. I love the way it looks. So I found another one that I had started that was very short, and then decided that actually I can do a 2-color version of this. So again, it's got that same shape, slightly wider, and then going like, you know, an arrow shape in both directions. And this is the pattern that I still want to write up and publish on the website. Hopefully I will. Maybe over the Christmas period. No, I won't, because I will be too busy with my family. Right. I will write it up at some point. Okay, so this is a two-tone one with a contrasting edge, but not in fabric. The contrasting edge is crocheted. So love that effect. So I'll have to add that as an extra bit to the pattern, as I already said last time. So I'm starting to repeat myself. I think I need to stop, and let's move on to the next section and show you our Scottish adventure part 2 before we dive into Layercake. So here is the sun I promised, standing in the river, having a go. That's the River Tweed in the Scottish borders, having a go at spey casting, as it's called. That's his father there in the background, and I will show you around a little bit. I'm just literally standing on the banks. This year I did not get in the water. Most years I do. standing kind of half behind where my husband is. I love standing in the river with the water flowing around me, and if you're lucky you get to see some fish as well. Right now though, we are looking at some sheep that are sharing the field with me where I'm standing, and I'm just going to pan around to show you some of the stunning trees, the beautiful tree line that we have on the edge of the field that we're standing right next to the river. And as you can see, a lot of the trees have lost a lot of their foliage already. There are some that are still quite vibrant in color, and the one that I'm going to show you now is a good example of it. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and that little bit of white that you can see in the background, that is the house, a big mansion that has an apartment where we're staying when we're there. So it's literally walking distance from the river where we can do the fishing, the salmon fishing that we like doing. And I actually have a picture a little bit further along of a salmon in the river. Further upstream is a town called Peebles, and that's where we get our groceries. And we actually saw a really big salmon in the water just looking over the bridge in Peebles. So back to my son here in the water doing another trial of one of the D-casts, spay casts I think it's called. And then next I'll show you what a salmon in the water, in this super clear water, as you can see, actually looks like. We spotted this salmon just off the bridge in Peebles, where you can look down into that super clear water. And I thought, oh, I have to try and capture that to show you how wonderful it is to see a wild salmon swimming upstream in the river Tweed. Looking up, you can actually see the river going upstream, and that is the direction that the fish is facing as well. And then standing from where we are, looking to the right, we see the town of Peebles. I just had to capture the sound because it was so impressive. So here we are driving through the Moorfoot Hills, southeast of Edinburgh, through an area called Heriot, or Heriot, I think it's Heriot. And there's a river called Heriot, and this is part of a pass that goes through these foothills. And once you get through the pass, then the landscape opens up. And this is us driving, just having come out of that pass and seeing Edinburgh in the distance, with Arthur's Seat there. That little bump just to the right of the middle of the picture is Arthur's Seat. More of that later. Once we've got everything settled in Edinburgh, Finn was very keen to share some of his favourite places of the city with us. So while the sun was setting, we walked into the Meadows, a park very close to his house and very close to the university as well. So from there we walked into town. One of the first buildings that we saw close up was the Futures Institute, which is actually part of the university. And of course, I had to take some pictures with the boys in front. Of course, you can't see them here. So here's another picture of the boys close up before we walked further into town. So here is a photograph of West Bow, one of the most famous streets in the city, and already beautifully decorated. And if you see that gallery, like above the lit part of the shops, that is a gallery that you can walk on. So here you see a view taken from the gallery once we went upstairs. From there, we, of course, had to visit the Bow Bar. It's a beautiful bar with, I think, the biggest selection of whiskies of the entire city. Of course, I have to include a photograph of Edinburgh Castle, lit up like so many landmarks were in red as part of the Poppy Appeal, as was the tower of the famous Balmoral Hotel. This is the beautiful window of the door of another famous pub, another famous bar in Edinburgh. Here is a picture of the inside. It was very busy, but we managed to get a table and had to get another drink in before moving on. There are so many things that we saw. This is the famous Scott Memorial. And this is my last evening photograph of the Bank of Scotland, also beautifully lit in red, with a very bright moon to the right in the picture there. You can also see in this photograph that it looks like that building is much higher than where I am standing, and that's correct. Edinburgh has a lot of very tight hills. It's a very undulated landscape on which the city has been built, so there are very steep roads and there are overpasses and underpasses. It's a true maze in parts of the city, and that also means that depending on where you are, in some cases you have a beautiful view out of the city, and I'm showing you that here in the only one photograph that I took during daytime during our visit, which shows you the view in the distance with the landscape of the city in front. On our way back, we decided to drive through that beautiful Heriot pass again, and that meant that we also passed that beautiful view from a distance of the city again. So we took the opportunity to pull in and stop and give me a chance to film a bit more detail of the city in the distance. So where we are at the moment is at the start of the Heriot Pass, on our way back down from Edinburgh, which we can see in the far distance, back down to Innerleithen and then Peebles, where we're going to get a couple of groceries before we head back home. So in the picture here, the big lump on the right, that is Arthur's Seat. And then we've got the crags just to the right, that sharp point to the right, to the left. That sharp point on the left, those are the crags. And in front of that and next to it here is all of Edinburgh. In the distance, oh, we can actually see the castle. Trying to keep that central in my picture. So that's the castle of Edinburgh sticking out above everything else. We walked around there yesterday. Then the city in between, and then Arthur's Seat on the right. And it's all part of a much bigger view, which I'll pan all the way from left to right. So I've literally just pulled up by the side of the road to be able to show you this. I'll zoom out a little bit so as not to make everybody seasick. So there we are, start of the road. And then zooming all the way back, across all the fields. Then we get Arthur's Seat coming in from the left now, so you can see how far away from it we are. And we're in the middle with the castle. And then all the way to the left, more very big hills and fields. And up here we've got the start of the pass, the Heriot Pass, on our way back. I'll try and film some of that as well. One more quick view at the city. And that beautiful castle in the middle. There we are. These are some images of our drive back down through that same valley, the Heriot Valley. The river is set down below to our right here, but in the next section we pull a little bit more level with it, and you can see it's not a massive river, it's more like a stream, but there it is, just peeping up on the right hand side. And it's called a village, that whole area of Heriot, and we're actually approaching one of the houses that is part of the village. There's lots of moorland. The whole area that the village covers is absolutely massive. Here are some sheep that are being kept on the moorlands, because the whole area that is covered by the village stretches about 50 square miles, and there are only 150 houses or 150 dwellings, as it is being described here, that are all part of that same valley, if you like, and part of the same village. So we're passing by one of the other houses here. I've captured a couple of the houses that are part of the village, and there's another one coming up in the distance in the next section as well. We had some beautiful sunny weather, as you can see. The skies change very quickly in Scotland. That's been the experience of our son in Edinburgh as well. Very quickly changeable weather. Of course, he's very close to the coast where he is in Edinburgh, but we really notice it on our drive as well. And you can see how warm the sunlight is at this time of year especially. We always have the feeling that more of the blue is filtered out of the light, because it always has such a gloaming kind of effect. And of course, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to record this little sheep ambling along the road quite comfortably. So we are back in the Tweed Valley here, with the river to our left approaching Peebles, and we spotted these beautiful low-hanging clouds in the valley that I quickly captured for you before we hit the bend. Back in Peebles, we stopped for a coffee and to pick up some Scotch pies to have later on in the day for lunch in the car on the way back. And this is showing the bridge that I was standing on when I showed you the salmon swimming underneath it, as well as the church and the church spire that you heard chiming before, and of course the river running through in the foreground. And then this next picture I wanted to share because I would love to make something like this. These are pumpkins made out of velvet fabric with what looks like a real pumpkin stalk. It might be a fake one, I don't know, but of course you could use a real one. And I really like the idea of using the way the fabric kind of naturally folds when you create that shape, that pumpkin shape. And of course you can make them in lots of different colors as well. It's a really interesting way, I think, of creating an autumnal pumpkin-y gourd kind of shape to add to your living room at this time of the year. Back on the road and just outside of Peebles, I managed to get a beautiful shot of the very elusive Needpath Castle. It's very difficult to see and you have to be very quick, just kind of trying to shoot it out of the window of the car as we are driving. This castle was built between 1263 and 1266. It's actually built out of rubble, and 300 years after it was built, Mary, Queen of Scots, visited it, actually stayed there. It is currently used as a wedding venue, and I think some certain scenes of movies have been shot there as well. I'm very pleased that I managed to capture it. A little bit further along the road, we remembered just in time that we knew a more picturesque and interesting looking route down towards the M6, which is the route that we chose to drive home on. And just in time here, we realized that if we take this turning, we would have a more interesting route that takes us through a town of Moffat. can actually already see how different the landscape looks here compared with the borders, even though we're still on the edge of the borders here. Again, a river running to our left, and lots of the dry stone walls that Scotland is absolutely filled with. Some pretty autumn colors on the trees still as well, although we noticed that this year the leaves had turned and fallen a bit earlier than last year. Interesting, because very different climate this year somehow. So we are gradually winding our way down towards Moffat. Really pretty little cottage here with a fire going inside, and we're about to get some glimpses, here it is, of Moffat in the background as we slowly descend towards the entrance of the village, of the town. And as we enter Moffat here, I kind of conclude the Scottish adventure part 2 in episode 130 of the Slow Wardrobe podcast. I will continue to add adventures to my podcasts as and when they happen. The next upcoming adventure is probably the podcast after next, because that will be in the course of December, when we are celebrating an English Christmas in Holland. So please do let me know what you think of this kind of content, whether you enjoy me sharing my adventures the way I have done for the last couple of episodes. And on we go to the last part of the podcast, Layercake and tulip dresses in wool. Winter white wool in the Scottish borders on the bank of the Tweed. A tulip dress in the regular length size 2, worn together with a pair of palazzos in the long length large size. Beautiful outfit with a grey anytime top. Stunning setting. Let's go for the next outfit. 1 week later, back at the studio. Same outfit that I was just showing you on the banks of the River Tweed. And what I'm going to do is, at the start of every new wool dress, I introduce it by the banks of the Tweed, and then we move back here to show you a bunch of different outfits. So this is the winter white dress, as I already showed you. I'm going to add some other garments to dress it up and dress it down, as is my wont. First example, a medium length duster in the large new check. Of course, the large new check is a perfect color, perfect fabric to combine with the winter white, because it's got those very light squares in it. I'll open it up as well. Of course, this comes in the different lengths, so it's a wonderful way to add a set of colors to the winter white dress. Now, I'm wearing the winter white dress here with winter white palazzos. I happen to have these in stock in the long large. Of course, we can make them because we still have the fabric in other sizes for you. So if you fancy this combination of dress and trousers, they're available for you to order on the website. Let me change those trousers though and keep the rest of the outfit the same, to just darken them a little bit, just a tiny bit, and end up with 3 different garments in 3 different fabrics that still make a very nice unified outfit. Matching with the anytime top in grey that I was already wearing, I have added the grey anytime grey cotton baggies You can see they were folded. I've literally just unfolded them. If I would leave them for a couple of hours, then those folds would disappear completely, thanks to the elastane in the organic cotton knit that are the cocoon baggies. So as you can see, just a very slightly darker color than what I had on before. And if you say, well, actually, I quite liked the idea of the palazzos, but not in wool for me, then of course we could go for linen palazzos together with the dress and the duster. Let me grab some. So just slightly darker still. I was going to actually wear a pair of palazzos in the charcoal grey, which of course is a nice dark color that also goes beautifully with the duster. But then I noticed that I actually have one pair left of the discontinued steel cross weave in the linen. These are the long large again, so they're the last pair in steel. I thought, why not wear those and highlight those to you in case it is a color and size combination that works for you. Last turkeys in the shop. Right, let's keep changing. Enough of this outfit. A bit more to go with the white dress, but let's keep moving to the next outfit. Make it a bit more festive. I'll do this in stages. I've only changed my duster from the large new check in the medium length to a short length duster in the one of the festive colorways, the dotted, very interestingly woven linen, which is properly double-sided, so you get the black and silver on the outside here, and then the silver and black on the inside, which of course goes really nice with the winter white and the steel. This color is called Mercury, if I remember it correctly. We've got two colorways. We've got a light colorway as well, which I can't show you. I haven't got a sample of it, but I'll show you a picture of it here, because that would also go really nice with the winter white. And those festive dusters are also available, if you're interested in a longer version, to order in the medium and long length on the website. Have a look if you're interested. If you're interested, just look for the dusters, or specifically type in festive duster and I'll take you straight to the festive duster page. Right, I'm going to put on darker trousers to keep darkening this outfit and make it look more and more formal or traditionally festive, as we associate these colors with this time of year. Pair of black trousers, in this case slackers in the long large, together with the baggies, my absolute favorite trousers in the range. If you're not used to drop crotch trousers, give them a go. They're just so comfortable to wear, and they're so freaking cool to wear with anything. So black slackers, but a very similar look could be achieved with the palazzos, or if you don't want the trousers at the bottom to be quite as wide, then of course you can go for the breeches as well, which taper at the bottom. So on to the next dress. Back to the Scottish borders we go. Pretty in pink. Magenta baggies, magenta linen love top, and then the pink herringbone wool tulip dress. This is the size 2 regular. The baggies are the long ones, and the love top is a size 1. Back at the studio, and with the pink being the first obvious choice to combine with this pink and grey herringbone weave, tweed weave, the second obvious option is to go for grey. I've gone for a light grey here, but the grey in this weave is quite a variegated, quite a mottled grey. Both light and dark greys are in there, so I can either go for the light, or I could go for a much darker grey with the slate, and that would look just as good. So the pink herringbone, shown again in the regular length. All the dresses I'm showing today are that medium length, and then shown with the cocoon baggies in grey and the anytime top in grey. So I'm going to change both the trousers and the top to black, which is also a beautiful black drop for the pink. Here's my black drop, the same anytime top width in black with long sleeves, size 1, and the slackers again in the long large. Wonderful as a backdrop to the pink herringbone dress. And of course I can grab that festive duster again to wear over the top, because that will also go really well, especially since it's got that pale grey in it. Let me grab it. Of course though, it's also possible to go much more colourful with this pink. I've shown very safe choices with the pink that matches, with the grey that matches, and then with the black that's very neutral. Black and grey, wonderful combination as well. And to be honest, this black backdrop together with the festive duster will be a wonderful combination with any of the 4 wool dresses. The 2 that you've already seen and the 2 new colours. But just before I introduce the first new colour on the banks of the River Tweed again, I am going to add a bit more colour to this pink dress to show you that if you're into more brights, it's a wonderful choice for you. Showing you a pair of the large bright check here slackers. Of course they can be baggies. Of course I could wear a duster or a synergy duster in the large bright check, or even a dress underneath this, or a smock or a tabard over the top. The idea here with this outfit is that the dress is almost worn like a tunic over the top of a pair of trousers. And of course you could go for the shorter dress if you want to make it look more tunic-like still. However, that won't stop you from wearing a linen tunic over the wool dress, especially if you live in a colder climate. It's a really good option, and of course it's also a very clever way to keep your wool dress clean if you don't want to wash it that often, or have it dry cleaned if you're not comfortable putting it in the washing machine. So then a linen smock or tabard over the top is a great way to protect your wool dress. Of course it can also introduce another exciting color. Let's bring in some jungle. Jungle smock size 2 over the top of my tulip dress in the wool size 2, and that worn with the new bright check palazzos baggies. Too much for me apparently to remember. Good thing that I don't make a bigger collection than this. Slackers, and then worn with the anytime top still in the black. But of course I could go colorful with that as well. The options are endless, as you know. Most important thing, and the thing that I wanted to point out to you, is to keep in mind with tulip dresses, their bust measurement is 2 inches less than the equivalent size in the tunics, and the armholes are slightly higher. It's about 1 inch higher than on the tunics, to make it easier to wear without a top underneath. That's more for the summertime than for these, of course, but you can see that there's still plenty of big enough armhole to wear a wool tulip with other garments underneath. But keep in mind, if you want to wear your wool tulip with tops that are slightly heavier or more chunky jumpers, for example, then make sure that there are a couple of inches of positive ease around the bust, and you don't buy your tulip too tight. A bit roomy and a bit of wriggle room is a better option for sure. It also makes a difference with how the back looks around the bottom of your bra, how it does or doesn't catch your hips, everything. So go for slightly more roomy rather than slightly tighter, especially when you're choosing a tulip dress. When in doubt, give me a shout. All right, I've got one more thing to add. I want to add a colorful shawl to really jazz it up and show you all the colors together with the pink herringbone. Let me grab it. So this is the Tale of Two Patterns shawl, and it's a wonderful example of bringing something like that jungle smock together with the orange and pink and red colors that are at the bottom of my outfit, because both color groups are represented in this shawl, and that goes for so many of the different color combinations in the collection. I think I've shown this shawl before in combination with the large bright check. Of course, it's a very safe bet because all those colors are coordinated and come back in both garments. But this is also a way to just celebrate all those colors that you're wearing, some of which are covered by your dress, that are in the slackers, in the trousers. So one other colorway to combine with the pink that is not just multi and very bright, but a color that's been very, very popular and that a lot of you already have in your wardrobe, which is why I wanted to show it together with the pink herringbone wool. And here it is, blackcurrant. Blackcurrant, wonderful combination with this slightly softer pink than the very bright magenta that I was wearing with this dress in the opening, because of course the pink has been cross woven with the grey, and then with the blackcurrant, which so many of you already have. Of course the fabric is out of stock, but I still do have some blackcurrant garments left. This is an example of a smock in a size 3. I think I have 2 smocks in a size 1 as well if you're interested. These are the blackcurrant stripe breeches, and blackcurrant stripe is a fabric that I still do have some left of, so if you fancy anything in blackcurrant stripe, give me a shout. And the dress there to my left, your right, is the easy dress in a blackcurrant stripe, which I also still have. So blackcurrant, stunning color with that pink herringbone. Now we're going to move to the next color of dresses, the first new wool that I'm introducing on the banks of the River Tweed again, called Fig. A new wool color this autumn that I'm very excited to share with you. Beautiful, soft, flannelly kind of feel, very up close. It's got different colors in it, black, grey, like a soft bluey jeans color, and a reddish purple, which is very reminiscent of the blackcurrant purple. And as a result, from a distance, this fabric looks quite similar to our Fig linen cross weave, which is out of stock. So a wonderful alternative to the Fig linen. I'm wearing this Tulip dress, which is in the regular length, together with a pair of breeches in the blackcurrant stripe and a slate anytime top. It's a very, very versatile color. This can be worn with lots of different things, and because it's such a thin wool, it can almost be worn year round. I could not pass this color up and this opportunity to sell this wool, and considering that it's been bunched up on hangers and in a pile of clothes for a long time, you can see there is not a crinkle on it. This fabric is astounding, the way it is woven. And then also, I mean, wool is not that crinkly in the first place, but then the way it's woven means that it's a wonderful garment, a wonderful fabric to travel with. And back in the studio we are. Fig. Fig is the finest of our wools. It is an amazing fabric. It is very thin, well, very thin. It's not very thick like our tweeds. It's a lot thinner than that, a proper suiting wool, and it's very soft. It's slightly brushed, and up close it's got 4 different colors in it. It's like a micro dot, for want of a better description, with like it's black and grey, dark grey in it, and then there's like a jeansy denim-y blue in it, and then a pinky reddish color, which is a more subtle version of the blackcurrant. That's why at a distance this looks very much like the Fig linen, and we're out of Fig linen, but I have a couple of Fig garments left, so I'm going to throw, I think, a tabard or a smock and a mini tabard over the top of this to show you how similar the color is to the linen Fig, just in case you want to see them next to each other. But first I'm going to put on that black currant smock again over the top of this dress, just to show you what a fabulous combination that is. So first off, that fig smock, that blackcurrant smock over the fig tulip dress in wool. The smock being a size 3, so it's very roomy on me, but you know, I'm always saying to people, with those really large armholes, the garment will just sit and be held in place by your shoulders and be just as comfortable to wear. It's not like I'm going to lose this. The only thing that would happen is, like, if I put something heavy in one pocket, then the dress may gradually move to the left and start falling off my shoulder. That's the only consideration. But if you have a smock that is too big for you, then we can make it smaller for you. Or if you are proficient enough to do this yourself, you could take out a couple of inches along the back seam, and that would pull the whole thing around and make it less likely to fall off your shoulders, because that spread across the back from the back seam to the shoulder seams becomes smaller, so the whole back will be held more easily in place without changing the front. So if you want to know more about this, give me a shout. If you want to hear about any charges that there are with making a modification like this, again, give me a shout. Meanwhile, I'm going to change this blackcurrant smock size 3 for a fig smock size 2, so that you can compare the fig in linen and wool and see the difference between a size 3 smock and a size 2 smock on me. Smock size 2, as you can see, slightly less roomy, but most importantly, that similarity between the fig color in the linen and the fig in the wool. They really are very, very close to each other in color. I will make that similarity a little bit clearer still by swapping this smock for a mini tabard, also because it's really nice to see the combination of a mini tabard over a tulip dress. Gosh, I love this outfit. It's a really good example where colors that are very similar, when you wear them together in the different shapes, really emphasize the magic that comes with how we combine the different garments within the collection, so that you've got these interesting shapes and these interesting lines that really stand out when you're wearing those similar colors. It's all of a sudden the lines that do the talking rather than the different colors shouting at you. So this is, to summarize it once more, a pair of breeches in the blackcurrant stripe in the size large, long, then a size 2 tulip dress in the medium length in the new fig wool, a size 2 mini tabard in fig, one of the last ones that I have left because I'm out of the fig fabric, and a black anytime top in size 1. Right, keep going, bring in some other colors. When I was looking up to find a name for the color of pinky red that is in the fig wool weave, I came up with mulberry. When you Google mulberry, the color that comes up as on your search engine is quite similar to the color in here. It's like a pinkish, soft, darkish red color, which is why it goes so incredibly well with the sangria. So I have teamed to pull out that red in this fig color. I've teamed the fig dress with a sangria outfit, the love top in a size 1, worn with the baggies both in the sangria color, and I've pulled the baggies up a little bit higher so that wear them a little bit cropped like that, and you see the boots a little bit better. That is something that you can do very easily with baggies. You can play with where exactly they hit you on your hips or in your waist or even above, to make them look either cropped or longer, depending on what shoes you wear with it, what time of year it is, and what kind of look you're after. So one thing to add, of course, to this is one of the shawls, because I have that shawl that has a lot of black and red and a couple of other colors in it, and of course that's perfect with this color of wool dress. Let me grab it. And here it is. See what I mean? With all that red and black in it. And it then becomes a wonderful combination. It's virtually identical to the red in the sangria. So wonderful combination with that. And then of course I can, instead of the red, go for the blue that is in this shawl, because every spot in the middle is like a little black ring filled with a blue color. So rather than going red when wearing this shawl with this dress, of course, since it's got blue in it, we can pull it in the blue direction. Let's try it. And here it is, pulling the dress, the fig wool dress, in the blue direction. In this case, with a love top, a cocoon love top. I also have those, of course, with the long sleeves and the anytime tops in a navy. And then, of course, I realized when I was looking for blue trousers, I've got a bunch of ready-made, ready to ship, on sale wool trousers in the blue marl window pane. So it's a blue marl wool, and then it's got a dark red window pane running over the top. And of course, those colors are all in the fig wool. So when you see these next to each other, they are the most fantastic match together. So I thought, I have to show you those, because of course these trousers, these the blue marl window pane trousers, I have those in 3 different designs. I have some palazzos, I have some baggies, and I have some high-lows, all in this wool, all on sale, and all a wonderful combination to wear with your fig wool dress. So have a look at that combination if you're interested in the blue marl wool window pane, blue marl large window pane in combination with the dress. Easy to find on the website, and you'll find a link in the newsletter if you're a newsletter subscriber, but if not, then just navigate to the trousers page, and they're all along the top on the trousers page. All those ready to ship ones on special offer, and then those same shape trousers, so the palazzos, the baggies, and the high-lows are all included as part of the wool trouser offer in the new fabric. So both this fig and the last color that I'm going to introduce to you in a minute are available to order in those 3 different trouser shapes. They don't have just in, because we know that the orders are going to be scattered in all over the place, so there's not a particular pre-order discount going on for those trousers, but if you want to order them alongside your dress, then at least you can. The pre-order discount is specifically for the dresses. The trousers are available now and will stay available after the pre-order discount on the dresses disappears, for as long as we have fabric, because with the fig and the last color, the pewter, together with the winter white, the winter white and the pink herringbone, we only have limited amounts of fabric left of those as well, but they're not new. The fig and the pewter are new, and again, limited amount of fabrics only. All right, I think we're gonna go back to the riverbank to introduce the last of the 4 colors on pre-order. Another new wool for this autumn season, and another fabric for me to be very excited about. As you can see, again, this shows absolutely no signs of having traveled and having been bunched up and squished between lots of other layers of fabric. It looks absolutely stunning, 100% wool. There is a slightly crepe-like feel about it, and it's got the most super interesting weave of black and a silvery grey thread. I'll show you a close-up of that, of course. I'm wearing it here with my slate anytime top and a pair of baggies in the same fabric. So you too will be able to order baggies in this fabric. I'm wearing it, of course, with another tulip dress in the regular length. And I will show you this with other garments as well, back at the studio. Back from the riverbank for the last time, this time wearing pewter, the pewter wool, 100% wool, and a very special, unusual weave. It is black, kind of in a damask weave almost, with a silver grey. It's a very small kind of eyelet type of patterning. Have a look at a close-up of the fabric that I put in the newsletter. If you haven't gotten the newsletter, have I put it on the website? If not, then I'll show you a close-up here. And still wearing it with the slate anytime top, and now with a pair of very dark grey tights, because of course I'm forever showing you the tulip dresses with either trousers of different shapes and sizes, and now I want to show you that at the end of the day it's a dress, and of course you can show some leg underneath. Wearing some opaque tights. I'm not much of a dress with tights person until all of a sudden the inspiration grabs me and I go for this kind of matronly look together with the type of boots that I wear, and then a white shirt. I'll show you the white shirt in a minute because I've put it in the newsletter, and I'm going to show it to you here again as well because it's such a lovely combination. But before then, I'll do the same thing with this dress as I did before, throwing a smock over the top of it. I think it's a smock. Yes, it's a smock in the black gingham, because that is one pattern and this is a pattern, but because this is so subtle, they go really well together, and it brings in a lighter color without changing the look and feel of the entire outfit into a different color spectrum. I'll show you what I mean. So we're still in those neutral classic colors, but by adding a slightly bolder pattern, in this case, of course, the black gingham, and then in quite an unusual shape with this kind of aprony type shape over the top of what's effectively a shift dress, I end up creating a very different silhouette and a very different impression that the dress makes underneath that smock. So I'm going to bring in that white shirt and show the outfit exactly the way I was wearing it on the newsletter. So this is the kind of combination that for me shouts out to leave the trousers, wear tights, wear the high ankle boots, and then with that shirt, it's just so classic. It's a really, really nice combination to have a black or nearly dark black or nearly black dress. So for example, you could achieve a very similar look with the charcoal linen in the tulip dress, and then with a white shirt or this linen shirt, which of course is part of the Layercake collection, with that beautiful featuring feature collar, because it's a real eye catcher when you're wearing nothing else with it. Of course, I had the shawl with it in the newsletter, and I thought I'll leave that off to just let the shirt do the talking, or the neckline of it anyway, and then just tights and shoes. So I'm going to swap this for black trousers and a black top again underneath the dress, so that you get an idea of how the pewter looks next to an otherwise black outfit. Here we go. All black, and these are the cocoon baggies again. So this time in black, obviously. So I thought, rather than showing you another pair of black linen trousers, why not show you the black cocoons? Because of course they serve just as well together with the black anytime top to create a black drop for the pewter dress. So of course I can add other colors to this again as well. The one thing that I want to show you, definitely to show you how well they go together, is the festive duster, partially because of the time of year, of course, and partially because of the lovely combination they make. Here it comes. Here it is. Of course, it's the same Mercury one again in the short length. You can see the black and the silver in the dress, and then the black and the silvery grey of the festive duster, which of course can be made longer or made into a synergy duster, like sleeveless for you. And you can then combine it with, for example, the silvery love top, the love top that has the sparkles in it. That would go unbelievably well with the pewter dress. I didn't think of that. Must do a post on Instagram with those two together. If I have one that fits me, that is, I'll definitely look for it and try. Not in this episode though. I have one more outfit to show you and one more shawl to add to inject a bright color in this otherwise very classic color combination. So I'm going to swap the duster, this beautiful festive tonal duster, into a sharp contrast. Forgive me for my broken English just now. Swap it for a contrast, swap it into a contrast, change it into a contrast, or swap it for a contrast, not swap it into a contrast. Sorry, after all these years, when I'm rambling, I still get it completely wrong. I'm not sure it's an English issue, it's just a me issue, whatever language I speak. Anyway, I am wearing a medium length duster in the, oh gosh, now I've forgotten the colorway. It's not cerise. I'm gonna check. Yes, it is cerise. I'm completely out of my flow now. Anyway, we're at the end anyway, so we're at the end of the program. Thank you so much for sticking it out. I am going to grab a scarf though with the cerise duster as a proper eye catcher with this otherwise very classically colored outfit with the pewter dress. Just a shot of color, and then of course you can match with a scarf or a shawl or just lipstick or different colored shoes or a contrasting shawl. Let me show you. I had to show you this color combination. You probably saw it coming because it is such an exciting one. Up close, the edges of the flower pattern that is on this shawl is a match for the cerise color of the duster. So when you wear these two together and you see them up close, you think, oh my gosh, that is such an exciting color combination. Whereas from a distance, you may think, a pink duster and an orange shawl, what is she thinking? Then up close, you go like, oh wow, oh wow. So I hope you see what I'm seeing in this outfit. If not, there are lots and lots of other combinations that I'm sure you have thought of by now, or I hope you have. I always aim to inspire. As per always, ask me questions if you have any. Leave me some comments if you have any. Thank you so much for sitting through all of this. It was a long one again, and I'll see you again soon.